Great.
So much for coming to another video. I apologize for the hood. I've been under the weather. But and also first and foremost, I'd like to thank you if you watched the last video, which was managing role-based security. However, in this video, we're going to get into configuring the MBSA scanner. It's a Microsoft baseline analyzer, security analyzer. We're going to be implementing it, saving some reports, taking a look through the configuration concepts, a few of those things. So let's go ahead and get started with the exercises. For our first exercise, we're just going to just pretty much get into the MBSA. Pretty much just checks for updates, available updates to the OS, right? A few different things, the Microsoft Data Access components, the Net Framework, SQL Server. It also scans the computer for like insecure configuration settings, right? When MBSA like checks for Windows service packets and patches, it just includes also the scan window components like the Internet Information Services and Plus. So what we're doing first is setting up the MBSA configuration. So as you just saw, I just I'm running a single scan on multiple computers within a domain or range of IPs, which is I'm going to place in here. So let's go ahead and get started here. All right, perfect. And I'm going to actually name this so it's easier to look for when we're scanning. Now, before I hit scan here, just to let you know, so I'm scanning an IP range, right? So we're working with a live system. We could scan for a couple of different products within the Windows environment. Windows administrative vulnerabilities, weak passwords, IIS administrative vulnerabilities, as well as standard query language admin vulnerabilities as well. We're going to be doing a bit of that for this particular scan. Now, you should notice that Windows it typically begins the scanning process by updating security information and downloading data from the Windows website. And after a few moments, it's going to be a summary of scan devices that's going to be displayed in the descending order in just a second. Completed. I'm going to focus on the results of the server DMO1, which is rated as a severe risk. So let's take a look here. So initially reviewing the scan, all right, this is pretty much a report file and sends to the profile directory under the name title by the MBSA tool. And the results have a number of different icons, right? So have the red exclamation mark, which is used when a critical check failed, which is like most, if not all applications, right? Red is usually a marker of something not so good, and green being the opposite, and yellow being in between, right? And then I just want to add a little, just one additional thing, blue. All right, a blue asterisk just typically means either information on best practice checks, like checking if auditing is enabled, or a blue informational icon, which is pretty similar, used for checks that simply provide information about the computer being scanned, like the OS version of the scanned computer. So actually, when we take a look at these these uh, these results as far as the exclamation mark, just confirms that a security update is missing or a security check was not performed on the scanned computer. And we also see here the yellow for warnings, right? Like it could be, for instance, it doesn't have the latest service pack or update rollup, in this case, automatic updates, right? It's disabled on the computer, which is good because you need that to remain in compliance and or patching for any particular vulnerabilities that may have been uncovered by the creators of the app or the vendor that you're using, right? So on each issue, right, we have a couple different um, we have a couple different tabs, right? From score, the issue itself, and what the result of the what was scanned, right? And and what I did was I deliberately switched off the Windows update for the server, so therefore the updates that's collected by the device, it won't be as numerous as a Windows device that has been receiving updates on a regular basis. But under the scan results, right, for, let's see, for administrative vulnerabilities, okay, yeah, here it is. I don't know why I get blind really quickly. Let's see, password expiration. I'm going to focus actually on that. So there's three tabs here we can click on. I'm going to click on all three so we can take a look. So first, what was scanned, right? So it just gives us open up a Windows file. I'm sorry, window to or I'm sorry, Internet Explorer window for the description, right? So it just determines whether any local accounts have passwords that do not expire. Each local user has a password that does not expire will be listed in the security scan report, with the exception of any accounts specified in the no expire okay text file in the MBSA install folder. So it just gives us information about the password expiration results, right, with the description of the issue identified, right? I'm just going to exit here, and we're going to take a look at the results, right? So now this just tells us, as I mentioned towards the end of what was scanned, right? We're presented with information now detailing the user account with these non-expiring passwords. So these accounts naturally are going to be checked, right? So now I'm just going to close this out. How to correct this naturally, right? So we're presented right here with the issue and even a caution on changing account details for specific situations. And we're presented with the solution as well for correcting the problem. And we're going to follow these steps to make sure we're protected against this for the guests and the administration accounts, right? So what we're going to do is actually start to implement these recommendations. And once the result has been confirmed, we're going to action changes against the configuration recommendations, or at least have valid arguments for maintaining the device specifications. And so what we're going to do is reset the password controls to keep them in line with the best practice, right? So first, we're going to clear some password settings. So let's actually head here, go to control panel naturally, right? System, administrative tools. Right, and alternatively, you can actually search for the administrative tool directly with the search bar of Windows, right? If you prefer that way, I just like to, I don't know, go through my own process, but nonetheless, we can actually take a look at computer management if it lets me open, right? And let's see. Actually, no, that won't be it. There's What we're going to do for these guys is we're going to take a look at their properties and make sure that we configure those password. Uh, let's see, password never expires, apply. We're going to do the same for the administrator, especially for the administrator, more importantly, right? That they have full access, and we don't want any privilege escalation or they get a hold of the administrator account as far as any threat actors, and then all hell breaks loose. Right. So we've completed these security actions, right, for both accounts. So I'm actually going to close these out. So it's actually Windows there. All right. Actually, I think I'm going to leave. I think I'm going to print out the report. So reports, right? They're a key feature of the audit trail. I was going to close it out, but they're a key feature of the audit trail. And here we're auditing the configuration of a server device and logging the information for the situation in the future, where accountability is a necessity for tracking changes to the network topology. So I'm just going to actually going to save it, right? And I'm going to save it as a generated report for the uh, as an XPS document, which is open format designed and supported by Microsoft. So let's name it. Same thing we named it. Right. Actually, for quicker access, I'm just going to make sure desktop. Good. All right, so it's going to hit OK here. I'm actually going to minimize this here. We can actually see the report where it was saved. All right. So I'm actually going to, I can rescan it again actually before I look at the report. And while it's scanning, I'll take a look at it. All right. So we can see a few things here, right, as far as the report. So it's a part of the auditing, right, performed against the Windows machines. So typically it would be kept as a record of actions, which have been taken and recognized. So it does provide also a verbose amount of information. For example, we scroll down the page, we're going to see the Windows updates that are required, right? So yeah, that's the report as far as our first initial scan, right? That's located on the desktop here. Now we're going to review the configuration changes, right? Now that we made the changes to the device, we're rechecking them with a new scan through the MBSA to see that that they pass the configuration requirements. So we're going to move through these steps just a bit more briskly, right? So I activated the scanner already. It's currently running. It did take quite a bit the first time. So just awaiting those results. And we're just going to follow the previous procedure from earlier. We take a look at the scan results, so take a look at the password expiration. We want to confirm that it's now in the green, that everything is good to go. That's finished up, and as we can see here, the password expiration. We take a look at the scan results. Is now in the green. The result shows that we configured the requirement correctly. Now, of course, there is a bit more that has to be done in a real world scenario, right? I would take a look at these developer tools and the security updates, which is actually fairly easy, just as easy, really, as the password expiration configuration. Right. So, but nonetheless, we reached the end of the video. Just for a brief recap, we implemented recommendations based off a Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer scan. We saved the report, the initial report, and then we reviewed the configuration we changes specific to password expiration for the admin and the guest. But that was fun. It's going to be even more fun on the next video when we go over compliance patching. Hoping to see you there. Stay curious, stay secure.